told you that the entire future of the artificial intelligence industry, every chatbot, every self-driving car, every medical breakthrough depends on a technology that's about to hit a wall, right? And what if I told you that the solution might not come from Silicon Valley or Taiwan or even China, but just from a tiny startup in Norway that's using helium atoms? So today we're talking about the chip revolution that nobody saw coming and why it might be the most important story in technology right now. All right, so let's set the scene. Right now, the entire tech industry is gasping for air. Literally, we're drowning. Broadcom just reported that AI chip demand is so insane that even TSMC, which is the most advanced chip manufacturer on the planet, can't even keep up. So we're talking about supply constraints that are bottlenecking everything from data centers to networking hardware. So AI is like the rocket ship. Cut that out. Think of it like this. AI is the rocket ship, but chips are the fuel. And we're running out of fuel for the rocket ships. Here's where it's going to get technical. Current state of the art for making chips is something called EUV lithography, which is extreme ultraviolet. It uses light with incredibly short wavelengths to etch patterns onto silicon wafers. And it's basically like magic, bro. So it could craft features smaller than a virus. But here's the problem. We're approaching the physical limits of what EUV can do. It's like trying to write with a pen that's already as sharp as it can get. So what happens when we need to go even power, even more efficiency? And that's where our Norwegian friends come in, right? So let me introduce you to Lace, the fabric, but the startup. Lace just raised zero. How much did they raise? Check that out. Lace raised 40 million. But here's the wild part. Microsoft is backing them, right? It's not a random venture capital firm, but it's Microsoft. This is the same Microsoft that's pouring billions into OpenAI and trying to dominate the AI race. But why would Microsoft bet on a Norwegian startup with 40 employees when they could just keep buying chips from NVIDIA? And it's because Lace is doing something that sounds like science fiction. They're developing helium atom beam lithography. So instead of using light photons to etch chips, they're using helium atoms, like atoms, fired in a beam as silicon wafers. And the kicker is, this technique could create semiconductor designs 10 times smaller than what EUV could achieve. 10 times, right? So we're talking about features measured in single-digit nanometers. These are chips so dense, so powerful, that they can make today's AI chips, or AI models, look like calculators. But we have a timeline problem. Lace is targeting 2029 for their pilot fabrication facility, which is 4 years. In AI time, that's an eternity. So here's the tension, right? We need these chips right now. Well, we need them yesterday, but the technology won't be ready until 2029. So the entire AI industry is sprinting toward a cliff, and the bridge won't be finished until we're already falling off that cliff. So I can't say I've been, chips or anything or obsessed with technology, but I remember reading about Moore's Law in college, and just the idea that computing power would double every 2 years was crazy. I'm like, brushed it off as whatever. But this is exactly what Lace represents, which is Moore's Law, because it's not a law of physics. It's a promise that humans will keep finding ways to make things smaller, faster, and better. So Lace represents a technical breakthrough, but not only that, a refusal to accept that we've hit a ceiling. There's just something bigger happening here, the pattern. India just overtook the UK in global AI rankings. Former Prime Minister Rishi Sunak called both countries AI superpowers. Microsoft is betting on a Norwegian startup instead of just buying more NVIDIA chips. Elon Musk is talking about building his own chip manufacturing and putting Starlink antennas in iPhones. Interesting. So the ground is shifting. The old order where Silicon Valley and Taiwan controlled everything is cracking. Innovation is becoming distributed, and power is becoming decentralized, And when one company, one country, one technology dominates everything, we stop pushing the boundaries. Lace isn't just making smaller chips, but they're proving that breakthroughs can come from anywhere. That a team in Norway can solve problems that giants in California couldn't even do. This is the real story. So what are we going to do with this information? We got to go to work tomorrow. First, I wanted to think about your own constraints in your life. What walls have you accepted as permanent? And what physical limits are actually just assumptions? Helium atoms can replace light beams. Then maybe your limitations are more flexible than you think. Second, pay attention to the underdogs. The next breakthrough in AI and biotechnology and clean energy probably will not come from the company with the biggest marketing budget. It'll come from someone who's obsessed with a problem that everyone else is ignoring. Lace was founded in 2021. That was 4 years of quiet work before this $40 million announcement. 4 years of people probably telling them that it was impossible. But finally, I want to hear from you, because what technology are you betting on? What breakthrough are you waiting for? Drop a comment below, let me know. Let's talk about the future that we're building together. And if you made a video, think differently about chips, about AI, about the limits of what's possible in your own life. Hit the subscribe button, because we're just getting started. Thank you for building the future together. Look forward to it.